Hello guys, and welcome to Daddy Share Space, and welcome back to my garage shop. So today I'm coming to you with another unboxing. Right here we have another package from Woodcraft, and what we have in the box is the RTS 400 finish sander, and it's the RTS 400 abrasive set. And this all comes as a bundle, very similar to the DTS sander that I actually unboxed on a previous day. And what this sander is going to do is give me the ability to get in the corners just as the cat sander or the Delta sander. However, I can rotate the pad and use all four corners. So I look forward to comparing one method versus the other. I do still down the line plan on getting the Rotex 90 so that I could use the small Delta head to turn it around. So there may be some unforeseen things that I may have with this particular sander, being that it's a rectangular base versus the Delta sander and versus that last option, to try to see which one is best. Because as I spoke about with the RTS, I believe it is the RTS sander, once you wear out the tip of that particular sander, then you may end up just basically using it as a generic sander to wear down the rest of the pad. So there's a chance that if you're just going at it with that corner, that you may prematurely run through your sandpaper. So I looked at this particular sander and I was curious as to whether it would actually have the ability to get in the corners effectively enough, and we're going to try that out here on this channel over time. All right, so I would imagine that the other set that I purchased did come boxed like this. However, I think I probably got the last one that was available at my local Woodcraft, and thus forth it came, it's probably like almost like a demo unit that people got to look at. So it would have been nice to have gotten some degree of discount, but they don't do that. All right, or at least not regularly anyway. All right, so as you can see there, we have another FESTOOL sustainer here in the box. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video when I unboxed the RTS sander, I felt like this was a pretty good deal, at least for me, because with this particular setup, it gives me here in the top, obviously the RTS 400R, the RTS 400 REQ Plus, so that's the sander itself. But then down on the bottom here, I got the CIS STF 80 by 133 GR set, which is going to be my granite sandpaper, and it's going to get me started with my sanding. Now, before I proceed with the unboxing, I was on the fence. I was looking at, I already have the 125 random orbital sander that FESTOOL sells, which is the corded version. And when I bought it, I actually bought the set, which was an extra $200 cost. And since I had that 5-inch sander or 125 millimeter sander, I was considering when I went to Woodcraft whether I should get like the RTS, DTS, or if I should just get either the Rotex 125 or the, I think it's the ETS 125, which is a 3-orbit as opposed to a 5-orbit. Now, the rationale behind why I was considering those things is if I were to purchase either the Rotex, even though I have the 150 Rotex here in the shop, and the reason why I would have gotten the 125 is not because that's the one that I needed. I honestly just need sandpaper for the big one because I have not bought the set. And so I only have like a few small boxes of sandpaper for the 150. But I do have the actual sanding set for the 125. So if I would have purchased the Rotex 125, I would have already had sandpaper in the shop, which would have saved me a little bit of money, at least on that purchase for that day. Alternatively, if I would have got the ETS, then I could have looked at it in a different way. I've got the 150 for the Rotex type sanding, and the ETS, from my understanding, is like a little bit more of an aggressive sander, and it's comfortable for sanding for long periods of time. Sanders like this are more from my understanding, more like finish type sanding, and so the 125 would have been good. Now it was not quite as good as the, say, 150/5, which would have gave you more of an aggressive sanding. But there again, if I was to pick up that the sander that was the ETS 125, I would have already had sandpaper in the shop. So I weighed that option against getting, you know, either the 150 was totally out of the question at this time, because if I was to purchase the ETS 150, say /5, then I would have needed to turn my attention to also buying the sandpaper. So if you take that $575 or whatever that cost is, and then add another $200 for the actual abrasive kit, then that takes me up to about $700-800 with tax. So when I picked this particular sander up, I also picked up the RTS, so that was about $800, and I get, you know, a complete set of the actual corded sanders that I am going to be able to unbox, obviously, give an overview, but then also share back with you my experience as a novice as I grow on all of these particular sanders. So that's just a little bit of a backdrop, kind of a little bit of my personal logic on how I make purchase decisions. It's always kind of like a mathematical equation for me, where I say, well, should I go this direction or that, or should I get this or that? You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, were on my list that I've taken off, and there are a lot of things that's going to be on my list, or that are still on my list, and it's just kind of a, you know, a stair-step approach. You know, I, you know, was weighing whether I'd get the Capex 60 stand for my miter saw or the 120, and I went with the 60 simply because it has, you know, because it's battery powered, I could take it outside in the summer, versus, even though I could take the 120 out with the cord, you know, it's not quite as advantageous as taking the corded or the cordless model. So I put the Capex 60 stand a little bit before the KS 120, and at least for now, I'm going to actually build a stand for the KS 120. Anyways, let's proceed with this unboxing. So, all right, so we see the actual sustainer here. You can see what it looks like, and then we're going to open it up and take a look at it in the inside. Similar to the other sander, we have our instructions. We have our warranty inclusive, of which I am going to register that here expediently. So let's set this to the side. You do get one piece of 120 granite. So 120 seems to be the standard sheet of paper that comes with all these sanders. So something interesting that I heard on somebody else's video is, if you buy the ETS sanders, at least that person said that they didn't even get one sheet of sandpaper with theirs. So that's another reason why, you know, I probably want to reach out and get the, like a set of the 120 sandpaper to get me up and running, either when I buy that sander or before I buy that sander. So, but that's a down the line type of thing, if, you know, I'm allowed to do it. So right here, we've got our plug-it cord. You can see that there. Just standard operating procedure with that. As I said, the 120 granite. You've got your actual sanding, the dust collection bag, which seems to be very similar to the other one. And then right here, we have the sander itself. You can take a look at it there in that camera. There you go. So right here we've got speed control. It's on 6 right now, so it goes from 1 to 6. And we've got our dust port back here, which is the 120. This is actually the 27 millimeter dust port. As I expressed with the RTS, this is not going to be compatible with the 32 millimeter hose. You will need to use the reducer if you have a 32 millimeter hose, or a 36 millimeter hose, which reduces down to 32, or you need to just have a 27 millimeter hose. You've got your power button, your on off here, right? And yeah, this is the RTS 400 REQ. Very similar feel to the sander as far as being raised up off the work. I'm interested to see how it feels and how you know, how comfortable it is for me, and then also how effective it is in the shop. Like, how long is it going to take me to sand whatever it is that I'm trying to sand. So it's a welcome addition into the shop, and it's just another rung in the ladder, you know, for this particular channel, as I grow from being a novice to being a little bit more experienced, and also add in a little bit more of a layer of something to share by, you know, you seeing the unboxing and overview of this tool, but then moving forward, you can see me grow with this tool if this is something that you're interested in. And then you can also, you know, fire off questions. You know, what do you think about this? How do you feel about this? And, you know, these things come over time. Now, we don't want to forget the guard. There is a guard that looks very similar to the guard that comes with the DTS. And there are 2 locations on the side of the sander here as well. So it looks like I could put it here to where I'm keeping quite a gap. Oh, I put it on wrong. There you go. To where it's quite a gap between here and the front. But then you go back and you put it further back. And you can see there, and you're protected from marring. If this is my surface, I'm protected from marring that surface. So you're not getting very close to the edge here. You know, you've got a few mils between this bumper and here. So you do have to be mindful of getting into corners. Now, specifically, as I spoke at the beginning of this video, my thought is, are these corners going to be adequate? Like if I was sanding the inside of a box or a container, are they going to be adequate for me to get up in the corner? And if it is, then that means, let's say I'm sanding, I'm primarily using this, this would be my upper left corner here, then I can actually take my piece of sandpaper and I can just rotate it to get to utilize the other actual corners. And in actuality, if you think about it, if I put it on like this, and so I can sand this corner, and you know, obviously I could use all 4 corners because I can sand the upper left corner, the upper right corner, the rear right corner, and the rear left corner, and that could cover all the bases, which would basically, in theory, make this a little bit more useful than the actual Delta sander, but I don't know if that's true. So I'm going to put that to the test over time, and then, you know, I'll get back to you to let you know, yeah, this one was worth it, or it wasn't, or whatever. But I do feel like this one's going to be more advantageous as far as using the full pad. There was a little bit of a concern in my mind about the DTS, about using the tip of that sander to the point to where basically, you know, you end up just using that corner, and then the rest of the sandpaper is not quite as viable. And then mentally you would have to think, okay, I'm going to use that whole sander to, you know, wear down the rest of the paper in like generic open spots. But then if I do need that corner, then I would have to take that piece of paper off and put on another piece of paper just to get that corner action. So we'll see how it works out. As I said, I'm going to eventually down the road, I'm going to pick up that RO90 that has the triangular head that has, it's basically all the points are equal, so you can rotate the head 3 times so that you can get into that corner. That may prove to be the best solution in this situation, because it would keep you down. It would make sure that it would ensure that you use most of the paper all the time, versus the Delta, which could possibly prematurely wear. And this one here, I just don't know if it's actually going to give this same level of effective sanding in a 90-degree corner. We will find out, and we will report back over time. This is a channel of growth, so don't expect everything to be answered immediately. It's going to take a lot of time to be learning these tools, growing with these tools, but it is my goal, as you know, long as God gives me life, to continue to share what I'm learning and how I'm growing, and to, you know, basically climb over all of the slimy comments and the, the negative feedback, and to get to the end of what is my goal, because my goal may be different than what someone who's viewing this type of content is. So anyways, guys, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to check out this unboxing and overview. But don't go anywhere. I almost forgot. Let's go ahead and unbox the granite paper underneath. So what we'll do is lock this up, and we'll unlock the bottom, pull it out, and then opening it up. And then again, we have 60 grit granite, 80 grit granite, 120 grit granite, 180 grit granite and 220 grit granite. Let's go ahead and count them. I'm imagining there's 20 of each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yep, there's 20 of each. So that is good. Yeah, so we're up and running when it comes to at least, I believe this is the finish level of sanding, but we are completely covered for the most part. Having the actual, the 120 random orbit in shop, the RTS, which is more like the cat or pointed sander, and then finally now the RTS, which is, or this is the DTS. No, this is the RTS. The DTS is the Delta sander, sorry. So we have the Delta sander, which is the pointed one, and then the RTS, which is, you know, rectangular base sander. We have all of those in the shop. So look forward to videos that basically are going to have these tools on display and working, and I will be sure to drop or share my personal experiences. You know, these tools are not inexpensive by any means, and as a result, you know, I personally can be honest and say that I would love to have someone that I can go to and get good solid information that is not just advertising jargon, where I can actually trust what that person is saying, and that I can get all the information, not just the pros, but also the cons of purchasing something, so that I can make an educated, informed decision. I'm going to be the first to tell you, I don't believe that there aren't any perfect products. So even if you feel like I've been maybe a bit heavily leaning in this FESTOOL direction, let me just be honest. There's no perfect tool. There's no perfect anything made by man. It's just more of a situation of, in my opinion, everything's like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, which basically means it's pretty much, you know, equal. But everybody has a different set of needs. And as a result of that, something that may work well for me may not work well for someone else. And so if there's a person that's going to speak honestly and candidly about a product, any product for that nature, then what you can do is try to see if it fits your life, if it's something that you should spend your money on, because the dollars in our pocket are being fought for by all different companies of all different, you know, shapes, sizes, and different types of things that they make and build. And, you know, it's up to us as consumers to be knowledgeable and wise about where we spend our money. And, you know, if I'm a salesperson, of which I'm not, then I have an incentive to tell you all of the pros about something. But if I'm not a salesperson and I'm more just a person sharing, Daddy Share Space, if I'm just sharing my personal experiences, you can take that for what it's worth. Now, that is not to say that you won't find any kind of like Amazon affiliate links. Those are not there. Feel no pressure to click on any of those links. They will bring some revenue to this channel if you do use those links, and that basically my goal with that is to take that and basically put it right back into the channel to be able to continue to do, you know, starting with overviews and unboxings, and then, you know, like a midterm review, and then finally like a review for later, which is something that, you know, is only going to be useful to people who continue to consume, you know, the content on this channel, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's like, you know, you put a seed in the ground, you water it, eventually it grows, and it grows over time, and it's not the time that either I may expect or someone else. And, you know, touching back on the fact that, you know, this is Daddy Share Space. This is not Daddy Share Space Woodworking. I want to make that very clear. So you will see me working on my car, working on my lawn. You may even see me cooking in the kitchen on this particular channel. The whole goal of this channel is to share with you my personal experiences, not as any form of competition or comparison, but it's just genuine. It's genuinely what I've experienced. I genuinely bought this. All of these tools here, back here on the wall, I purchased them with my own money, right? And I am not a credit person. Now, being very clear, I will charge something on a credit card and pay it off immediately, because credit cards offer this thing that's built in that's called rewards. And if you do utilize that, then it's essentially like a coupon. So if you buy something for $100, they give you 5% back or 2% back, then you get $5 or $2 back, which means you didn't spend $100, you spent $95 or $98, which reduces the overall expenditure. And you do that you do that $200 50 times, and now you got $100 to put somewhere else. So that is the way that I personally use credit. I don't believe in getting in the hole for really anything, and that's why I do a lot of it. I've been tinkering around in the shop trying to learn how to build things and fix things and do all these things, because ultimately it does give me something healthy to do, constructive to do, and it does save our family money, which gives me a little bit of extra coin to splurge. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for taking time to watch the video, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care.